TV web channel. Today, India is celebrating 75th Independence Day. On this special day, we have a special guest, Professor Rachana Chakraborty, Her Excellency, an eminent educator, par excellence and educational consultant, writer, motivator, speaker, moderator, whatnot. She is into education for many, having Her Excellency in our studio for this special program to make it special. Really, it's amazing. In coming 30 minutes, it's going to be so special because the day is special. First of all, our guest is special. So when these two specials come together, it is going to be special square. Then let's hope for the best. And without doing further delay, let's go into the program. Our first question in this program is, let us listen to Her Excellency Professor Rachana Chakraborty in her own words about herself. Over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rajara sir, for this wonderful program on the 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And it's always a pride to talk about our country and, of course, including about ourselves when we speak about with the country, with the individual inputs. So it's wonderful, the intelligent way of starting the program, of introducing ourselves on our own. It gives us an impact and input that how do we start the program. So thank you so much. I am Professor Rachana Chakraborty, all the way from Mumbai, India, an educator for the past 26 years, appointed the Deputy Chief Moderator for English Department for Maharashtra State Board in the year 2022. Taught and mentored more than 3,000 plus students, an author, a poet, an international speaker, an edu counselor, and co-authored several activity books for Maharashtra State Board, and also founder of 2 organizations which works for the emotional empowerment of women, as well as the writing skills of the kids, CVMD and CWMA. So there are many more hurdles which we need to cross, but this is a small, simple initiative from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Because when we are hearing about you, we are thinking that we have a right guest. Of course, we know, but still, when we are listening, we are getting that feeling. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time. Because the day is special, so guest must be special. Thank you. Then our first question is, India is celebrating 75th Independence Day. Of course, we all know that. Many milestones, many achievements, highlights. And the saga is really included with many successful stories. So we want to hear what, according to Professor Rachana Chakraborty, what are the milestones set by India during this 75 years journey?
Thank you, Rajana sir, for that wonderful question about the milestone which India has covered. There are actually, it cannot be spoken of in a very little time because the milestones are such. For the 75 long years, India has achieved more than 1,000 milestones which we can count on. But to say a few, because since you have asked and very close to my heart, the ones which has changed India's real status is that the first one which I want to speak about is the Indian independence movement, which was the movement was spanned over since 1857 to 1947. So I'm just taking you back a little bit to our history, wherein we get to know how India has made this moment of this creating the milestones for independence. So the first thing which I want to bring into notice is the movement of Indian independence, starting from the year 1857 to 1947. And on 15th August 1947, India achieved independence after this long struggle. Then coming back to 1758, I just want everyone to remember about the treaty which was made by British and Ananda Ganpati Raju, the ruler of Vietnam, and jointly first from the French, North Cesar from successful. So the East India Company had demanded a tribute of around 3 lakhs rupees from the Raja and had asked him to disband his troops. So this had really angered the Raja. If you go to the history, you'll find out how he had opposed this Britishers based on that. And that was basically the revolt of the Visignaram at 1758. Then coming to the revolt, in very short, I'm just touching up with the points which really made a change in Indian history. In 1760, it was the revolt at Medinapur and Delbham, which had really taken the minds of all, and we really get goosebumps reading to those people. The English had taken a hold of Midnapur in the year 1760, and at that time there were about 3,000 zamindars and talukdar having the caudal relation with them. So after introduction of the new land revenue system by the English in 1772, the zamindars and talukdars got dissatisfaction and started organizing against the Britishers. So because they were removed from the landowners, so they are not going to accept them. So they started making their troops. Then coming to the year 1769, this was the revolt of the Muammaris. And what is that? In short, I would like to say that the revolt of the Muammaris in 1769 was a potent challenge to the authority of the Ahom kings of Assam. So from the land of Assam also the revolt started. We come from Telangana to Assam, we see how the small troops were revolting against the Britishers. Then coming to directly to the year 1770, the sannyasis also started the revolt. So we cannot forget the intellectuals and the sannyasis, they were not going to take anything at peace. The disastrous famine of 1770 and the harsh economic order of the British compelled this group of sannyasis in Eastern India to fight the British oppression. So the sannyasis also stood up. They wanted the equal participation of the Hindus and Muslims from the fakirs to everyone. They all stood together in 1770. Then coming back in 1781, which was the civil uprising in Gorakhpur, Basti and Baharech. So there too, as per the Warren Hastings order to meet the war expenses against the Marathas and Mysore, he made a plan to earn money by involving the English officers as izaddars, that is the revenue farmers in Awadh. So he made that, Warren Hastings, and this angered the farmers and the locals, following a rebellion resulting towards the forcible removal of the Izzar and Officer Major Alexander Hanning involved in this act. Then coming to 1799, the revolt of Dunya in Bednur. This was also very important, and history kills it with their sacrifices. The Punjab Wars, 1845 to 1849, that was also the first war of the Sikh independence. And it was a military conflict between the Sikh Empire and the British East India Company that took place during 1848 to 1849. And this resulted in the fall of the Sikh Empire and the annexation of Punjab by the East India Company. So though it started, but it went against them. But coming back to the Meerut, the revolt at Meerut, that was in March 29, 1857. We are moving ahead to Mangal Pandey, a young sepoy of the 34th Native Infantry. So talking about Mangal Pandey, a young sepoy of the 34th Native Infantry, he thought about the British were using grease from the cows and the bullet cartridge, which Hindus hold sacred, and fired the sergeant major of his unit at Barakpur. So this was the real revolt, which really instigates me. It gives me goosebumps reading about Mangal Pandey and how he did that against, and it went against everything. Then coming to the partition, to the divide, Bengal divide people in the year 1905. This was also an amazing milestone for the Indian people. And the idea was to have two provinces, Bengal comprising of Western Bengal as well as the provinces of Bihar and Orissa and the Eastern Bengal and Assam. So this effectively organized the mass against the British. So they would not accept it at all. So the partition of Bengal to divide people was also another milestone to bring the unity in India. So then coming to 1930, the first roundtable conference, we cannot forget about that. So this was also very amazing that this was the first conference arranged between British and the Indians as equals. It was generally agreed that India was to develop a federation. So from here, the Roundtable Conference 1990 comes. The next comes the Gandhi-Irvine Pact, January 25th, 1931. So the Congress started working on the committee and authorized Gandhiji to initiate the discussion with the Viceroy. So this pact between the Viceroy representing the British Indian government and Gandhiji representing the Indian people in Delhi. So these are some of the pacts, and of course 1947 saw the British Parliament pass to the Indian Independence Act, and which was based on 18 July 1947. This act was implemented on 15th August 1947. These were some of the historical changes and the milestones which India had witnessed. But talking about recent developments which India had seen, I would love to bring into notice that in prior the pandemic, the education system, how we have catered to the online system. So this was not there in our infrastructure at all. But right now, the education system has also gone to online. There are so many sessions, so many quality education been imparted through the online sessions. And this has been possible because of the multi e-learning methodology, which India has accepted as another amazing milestone. So milestones are many, and we cannot just sum it up in just short, because 75 years is a long stretch, and India has worked up and worked step by step and reached what it is today. It is one of the developed nations, and still the progress is going on and developing in certain areas, developed in certain fields, and technology is also arousing India to that level. So technology brings the higher level status to a country, and India has been excelling in that step by step. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Wonderful
Excellency.
question.
The way you have put forward the historical events. Really, we have not yet reached that superpower mark or developed mark. Still, we are saying that India is a developing country because we are lagging in certain areas. So, what, according to Professor Rachana Chakraborty, what are the areas that India is lagging behind?
Yeah, so there is a very nice question, because since I talked about history, we had seen how our Indians were united at that time from the historical pre-independence era. Every single Indian, if the name of the nation would come, they would be united, except for a few percentage. We know that more than 90% of the Indians were united together. So this is what I feel is lacking right now because of the political the will and intention. And of course, it is to some areas, for example, a small example I want to just give: the farmers, the extensive farming learning, agricultural knowledge is given to the politicians. But whereas I feel it should reach out to our farmers. The poor farmers in the villages are not trained. Rather, the politician or the minister of agriculture, he is trained with the modern equipments and modern technology. So what about that farmer? So there is a gap which the political parties needs to work on. And if this gap is removed, then nothing can stop India from excelling. So talking about the political issues, this really makes me feel that we really need to work up, and the young politicians need to see that the mentors really need, that the real person should be trained under the government of India, because there are so many policies being taken out by the government, but how many of our villagers know about it? So this should be really transported to them, which I feel when I visit the villages, I feel that they are unaware that the government has made so many policies. So these politicians should rather be working effectively on it and making India progress to that level. So if we can remove that, the middle person, the politicians in between, and directly talk to the persons who need it, which I myself, whenever I go with my team to the villages, I make them aware that government has given you the loans, all the facilities for the farmlands. So this initiative should be taken more. Of course, another one more problem which I feel personally is the over explosion of population. So population, India lacks the basic education for every child. This leads to no birth control, hum do hamare do, the slogan which was kept, but I believe it should be hum do hamare ek and uske baad bas. So that is very, very important. The slogan should be changed. Instead of two, it should come to one. Of course, I have two kids and I'm really privileged about that, but we should work on that important factors, the birth control, because this is where I'm not telling that it is totally wrong to stop, but at least there should be certain control about the population, because India is a country which is rich in resources, but the dependency of the population in the country makes it really a country which is totally dependent on the other factors. So hence the country is still leading among the nations with the highest amount of population. So Indian mentality, wherever they go in the globe, they remain wherever they go. So the societies in America and Africa, etc., they all think, why do they treat as the equalness? Why it is not there? It is because of the education system. I feel that the education system should be developed more, and every single child, ghar ghar education should be reached out to them. Children who live in the slums in India do not study after the second or the third, and because the parents do not have the money. So as a result, the children start working. They become rag pickers, beggars, maids in the street houses, and all this. This is also one which is stopping. And we as Indians, we need to remove this and work on the employment system. Poverty, yes, of course, poverty. It is the major cause of the result of all the points which I said before. And of course, another point which comes together hand in hand is the population. Poverty causes crime, ill acts, which gets reflected in the Indian mentality wherever they go and wherever they are surviving. So to work on that, we need to remove this. So thank you so much. I hope I have given my perspective, because being an educator myself,
Yes,
I have felt that.
yes, we want your perspective only. Thank you so much. That's really amazing. But last question here, what is the contribution of Professor Rachana Chakraborty towards our nation, and what is the message to the youth and to the nation on this special occasion?
Oh, great. So that is really near to my heart. So I always believe that giving free education knowledge, which I was just now talking about, that education should be made available to everyone. Being an educator myself, my contribution for the country is that giving free education to everyone. And if we can do that, even if it's online or offline, if we can go and visit such places, which I do personally myself, conduct sessions, though some of the educators do not agree with me, but I take it as a privilege to give education to everyone, because education should not be only for limited people. Of course, money, economic is a factor, being a teacher myself, but education should be made available to everyone. So the generation, the youth, which is coming up today, they will know that the importance of knowledge, and sharing knowledge always increases your knowledge. So it never, we never can reduce our knowledge by giving knowledge, imparting knowledge to others. So that's my contribution in my way for the country, by educating the youth of today as well as the other older generation too. I believe that if we can train a young mind, then we can really ignite the nation and bring the nation forward. So my the message for the youth is that always be silent and smile. Silence and smile are the two most powerful tools. Smile is the way to solve many problems. And of course, silence is the way to avoid many problems. You can come under many problems if you pitch in and force yourself to speak. So, dear my next generation, keep educating yourself and focus on your studies and find learning opportunities. Don't follow people's negative thoughts and beliefs nor culture. Instead, inspire others to follow and be a role model to the society, to your fellow classmates and colleagues. So never lose hope, be as smart and as patient, and nothing stops you from your wish. You are all unique in the way you are. Always remember that. So that's my message for the youth.
Wow. Thank you, Excellency. Really, that's amazing. Your message is amazing. The two words are also very important, especially silent. Be silent. That's so great. To
Smile
avoid.
and silence. Smile and silence.
Of
So to
course,
avoid
smile is
any
always there. Of course, smile is always there. But silent is a bit violent. That is why.
to avoid many problems, because
Yes,
when
yes.
we keep on arguing, the argument never ends. So we it just rises and high pitch. So silence is the best way to avoid many problems which we come over. But of course, when there is certain levels to it, so we have to see that. But in the initial stage, silence is the best way to avoid many such inconvenience caused by the youth, because our youth is totally, the minds are ignited, so they get targeted initially, and they shout, because I'm dealing with the youths and I train them, and as a result I know how they get irritated at small things, and as a result they don't want to listen. After that, there is a blockade. So if you keep silent and if you listen, then surely you can gather more and more knowledge.
Thank you, Excellency. Really, they are wonderful gems of wisdom. Thank you for sharing such wisdom with us on this special occasion. And I wish each and everyone happy Independence Day. And thank you, Excellency, Professor Rachana Chakraborty, for joining on this special day and giving us a wonderful session on milestones and the areas that we are lagging, and your message to the society and message to the youth, and your contribution towards nation, and all are so inspiring. Thank you for inspiring us and making this day a special. Thank you.
Happy Independence Day to you, sir.
Welcome to Times India TV.